All right, take 4. Let's see if this is gonna work. I'm gonna give it a minute, and if not, then I'm just gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna be done. I'm trying to figure out what is going on here with my equipment. But 13 seconds in, 14 seconds in. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna wait. Now we have 2 people in here. Oh, please, let's keep our fingers crossed that nothing happens with my stuff. I don't know what's going on. It looks like we're live here. Looks like we're going. 40 seconds in when we are still up and rolling. Okay, I think we're good. I don't want to jinx it. This is the 4th time. For those of you guys that have been coming back and going back and forth, I appreciate it. I do apologize. I'm so sorry. Let's see here. 5 people in the chat, and we're a minute in, and I think we're good now. Okay, cool. I think we're good now. Now I think we're good. Thanks again, guys. I do apologize. As I told you before, I am working off an iPhone 6 Plus, and it's how I get connected through YouTube Live, because I tried to do it on my laptop before, and I just don't have a strong enough laptop. So we're going to pick up where we left off. It looks like everything's good. All right. First, let's start over. Let's rewind a little bit and cue. What's going on, guys, and welcome to Window Tinting Business, where we strive to inform, inspire, and improve you as a professional. As always, my name is Patrick. I'm a full-time window tinter, instructor, and consultant. And if this is your first time watching, what I need you to do is, if you're interested in window tinting as a side job to improve your current skills or as a full-on career, start right now by subscribing to the channel. If you're watching the rebroadcast, on the bottom right-hand corner, there's going to be a blue little box about yay. Go ahead and click that box, click subscribe, and you'll be added on to the as a subscriber to the channel. For those of you that were here before, this is the 4th time we've been running this live stream. I believe earlier I tried to schedule a live stream so that everyone knew that I'd be on at 6 o'clock, but I think with what was going on my phone and what was going on my laptop, I think that's where the disconnect came. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I'm just going to be, the easiest way to do it is I'm going to make sure that everyone on my Facebook group knows. So if you're not part of the Facebook group, go to Window Tinting Business, search Window Tinting Business under the groups, and I always post when I'm going to be on live and other things of that nature. We're growing and growing. I believe we're about 1,300 subscribers and then some, so that's good, and I think that's going to be the easiest way. So for today's topic, I do actually have a topic. I was going over it earlier today, and guess what? I actually wrote down some notes. So before we get started, what I want you guys to do is I want you to share the live stream. I had it going before, and now I don't, so I just kind of want to get a couple other people involved and into this here, because I know that people were trying to get into it and earlier. So just bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and share the live stream right now. Looks like we're good, and looks like we are up and running. So good, 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 good. Martin K, what's going on from Germany? What is going on, my friend? All right, looks like we're back up and running. The stream is good. I'm going to go ahead and pop out this chat. That way you have it here. Okay, so I'm going to be going over the tips. Today we're going to go over 10 tips to do while mobile tinting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get all the meat and potatoes out of this. For people that are watching the rebroadcast, you'll be able to watch this. And if you're here live, then what I still want you to do, still chat below, start throwing out your questions below, and then by the time we get to the Q&A section, we'll be ready to rock and we'll just rifle through them. We're 4 minutes going in, and we are still rolling, so it looks like we're good to go. The iPhone 10 or the iPhone X, depends on who you're asking. It is, I'm not going to buy that phone. If you guys haven't, someone said that they need the iPhone 10. What I need to do is a new laptop. So before I get into it, I do want to let you know the Super Chat is available. If you guys don't know what Super Chat is, it's essentially a way, $1,500. Whoa, that's a lot of money for an iPhone. But Super Chat is a way for you to donate to the channel. All proceeds go to help support the channel. My biggest purchase that I'm going to be making shortly is a new laptop. And then I'll stop working off the phone. But until that time, I'm going to be working right here. But a new laptop will be more integrated, and I'll be able to do a lot more cooler things, better audio with a mic, and all kinds of other cool stuff. So, All right, so to get into it, we're going to be going over the top 10 tips, well, my 10 tips for mobile tinting. For those of you guys that are in mobile tinting, uh, that's kind of where you start off. A lot of people don't have the cheddar to start off in a brick and mortar store or put all that investment and time into something that you don't even know if you're gonna like or if this is what you want to do. So a lot of people get into the business, play around with it, tint their cars, tint their friends' cars, decide that they want to do this. So they just start mobile tinting. So I'm going to go over some 10 tips to help you out. And this is in no particular order. So tip number 1, enclosed environment with power. Okay, so that's an important thing. When you guys are booking and scheduling your gigs, make sure that there is some sort of enclosed area with power, whether it be a barn, a garage, a warehouse. It doesn't matter as long as it's enclosed and it has power. You don't want a carport and you don't want to work outside, especially if you're brand new to the industry and you're just getting started in the industry, is because then that is it's a very hard thing to do when you're outside. I ended up doing a gig today and it happened to be outside because I missed one of the tips that I'm actually giving to you, hence why I came up with this video or this video topic. So make sure that they have enclosed area with power. That way you don't have any wind and any problems there. You can't control the wind, you can't control the rain, and you can't control sun. If it's a sunny, clear day and you're working in the sun, that's why they say don't work in direct sunlight, because your film will start to tack prematurely if that's the case. So to make your life a little bit easier, make sure you have an enclosed area with power. And let's see here. Tip number 2. Confirm with your clients 48 hours before the scheduled appointment. So 2 days out, and this is going to be more beneficial if you're a plotter cutter. So if you use a plotter, you want to touch base with your client just in case, and this is for hand cutting or plotter use, just in case anything changes. Maybe the time changes, maybe the day changes, maybe they decided to go with a darker film and you don't know. So especially if you use the plotter, touch base with your client, make sure that the job's a go, and then make sure you confirm everything, the shade, the film type, everything. If you're using a plotter, do that before you plot it out, because if it's wrong or if they change their mind, that's film wasted. You've already paid for that film. You can't get paid for that film. So you're just spinning your wheels. So that'll save you some time, save you some money. All right. Tip number 3, and bring up backup film. Whether you're a hand cutter or whether you're a plotter, bring backup film. Don't bring just enough film just to tint the car, because if anything happens, unfortunately, it's not a perfect world. Even I mess up from time to time. So whether it's going to be plotter cuts and they're cut out patterns, or you're cutting by hand and you mess up something, a wind, or you just end up creasing a piece of film for some reason. Don't bring just enough for the gig, because if you mess up and you don't have any backup film, you can't finish the job. If you can't finish the job, you can't get paid. I mean, that's the whole point of it. So bring backup film. That's most important. If you guys are using plotters, make sure you know how to hand cut. Unless you're bringing your plotter and your laptop with you, make sure you know how to hand cut, just in case you do mess up, you can still finish the job. Okay. Tip number 4. Be clear on expected time an expected time to be finished. So I know for a sedan, on a mobile gig, I'm going to be running anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And it really just depends on the situation. But that's exactly what I tell them. So if I show up at 1 o'clock and it's going to be 1.5 to 2 hours, I'm not going to be done until about 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Say the client has some place to be at 4 o'clock and they have to leave at 3:30. Well, you don't want to be rushed, and you don't want to put them in a situation where they've got to decide whether they want to finish and be late. It's just something you don't want to go through. So confirm with them an estimated time, when time you're going to start and what time you think you're going to finish. And that way, you're not going to have any problems in that area. All right. And tip number 5, multiple gigs. So if you are running, let's just say you're running, because I only work on Sundays. The other 6 days a week I work at the shop. So I just do my own thing on Sundays. But if I have multiple gigs, then what I'll do, say I have gig 1 and I know the address, and say someone calls for a second gig. Well, when that person calls, I'm not traveling from home. I'm traveling from the first gig, because I want to go back to back to back. So figure out exactly where your first gig is and how long it's going to take you to get to your second gig. If it's going to be 45 minutes, it's going to be an hour. It's good to know if you know like the area and you know the time frames, but I live in the Tampa area and I'm still new. I just got back here in March, so I'm still learning everywhere and I don't know the exact times. So it's always important that if you're on the phone with a client and you're talking with them, then just make sure to just do a quick Google search on where one gig is to the other. That way you're giving accurate times of when you're going to show up. Okay. All right, number 6 is going to be a checklist for your tools. One helpful tip is that if you print out a checklist of everything that you need for a particular gig, it doesn't have for every gig. So maybe it's going to be your film, maybe it's going to be your tools, your water. I mean, whatever you need, whatever you bring. If you bring a table, if you bring a peel board, whatever it is, whatever you need to do to finish the gig, put it on a piece of paper and physically have a checklist. That way you're checking off everything that you have before you leave. Because if you try to do that and you forget something, let's say you forget your sprayer or like maybe you forget your heat gun and it's not in a particular toolbox. Like all my tools are in a toolbox, so if I know if I have the toolbox, I'm good. But you may not have that, or you might be where I worked out of backpacks, 2 or 3 backpacks when I first started. So you don't want to not be able to complete a gig because you forgot like one tool. A $15 tool is going to stop you from making $200 in tinting. I mean, it's silly. So that's definitely going to be helpful for you. Tip number 7 is going to be questionnaire for client. And this is something that you set up prior to your, this is something you set up before you even talk to the client. What you want to do is you want to print out a questionnaire, and that's going to give everything that you need to know in regards to that gig. So, for example, let's say name, phone number, address, film type, film shade, truck. If it's a truck, is it a solid back or does it have a sliding glass? All these type of information needs to be known, and you need to write it down first and foremost. The last thing you want to do is you know how to tint, and you're getting some advertising out there, and people are starting to call you, and the phone's starting to ring, and then you realize you forgot to ask them a question, so you call them back. And then you realize you forgot 2 more things, and then you call them back. See, and so once you call them back 3 or 4 times, it makes you look unorganized, and it makes you look unprofessional. So if you have that questionnaire and then you just rifle through it and think of it for yourself, think what questions you would ask to need to cover for everything. No matter who calls, you run through all the questions. That way you have all the answers. So the next time you call is 2 days out before the appointment, just to confirm, and then that's it. That's really going to help a lot, in my opinion. All right, tip number 8. Always keep business cards on you. And it doesn't matter if you go to online to Vistaprint or you go to Walmart and pay the $5 and print the business cards out yourself. It really doesn't matter as long as you have business cards with you at all times. You could be talking to someone and they mention tinting, boom, you have a card. Or especially it's important is when you close out a gig and you get paid and you give them all the instructions in regards to how to take care of the window film. At that point, it's great to give them about 2 or 3 business cards and let them hold on to them. That way, if they have anyone that they can refer, then they have those to pass out. Me personally, I do 0 advertising. I'm 100% referral based. So I give a couple business cards. I tell them, hey, you know what? Thanks, appreciate it. If you like my service and you know anyone else that can benefit, if you wouldn't mind handing out my card. You would be surprised how much work you get out of doing that. So always keep business cards. That way you can always hand them out and pass them out. All right, 2 more, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. Looks like we got about 10 guys in here. So thank you guys for being patient. Again, I do apologize about the multiple times that we got this live stream going up, but it looks like we're going up now, so we're good to go. Okay, tip number 9, add a gate section to your questionnaire. So what that means is, and I actually came across the situation today, totally forgot, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so sometimes you're going to be working in really high profile places, really nice houses, in gated communities, and this is what I mean about gate. So confirm if they're in a gated community, double check, see if there's a code that you need to put in, boop, 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 so that you can open the gate. If they have security at the gate, Like today, there was a security guard at the gate, and they needed to confirm, and I needed to be on the list. I wasn't on the list. I had to call the client. The client had to call security to confirm that I was able to go in. I mean, it took me 10 or 15 minutes just to get through the gate. So knock that out before. Ask them in your questionnaire, do you have a gate? Are you in a gated community? If so, do I need to be put on some sort of list so that I can gain access to the neighborhood? And just double check. That way, it's shaving time off your day. You don't want to be spending 15, 20 minutes at the gate trying to get in, you know. And especially if you can't get a hold of your client or if they're doing something busy. Again, looking professional. That's the most important thing. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up just a little bit in regards to the 10 tips. So if you guys want to start rifling off some questions in the chat below, go ahead and do so. That way, when we wrap it up, we'll be able to go do some Q&A here. All right, last tip number 10 is once done with the gig. Okay, so you wrapped it up, all your tools and stuff are in, and you're in the car. At that point, leave the property. Okay. So say let's say you have another gig to go to, or say you have no idea where you're at and you need to pull up Google Maps or whatever you got to pull up to get back home. Don't stay in the parking lot. Don't stay in the driveway of the client. And I say that just because maybe they have follow-up questions. Maybe it's just kind of awkward. You've already said your goodbyes, and it's like you're just kind of sitting there, and the client's like, "What's going on?" Or it gets weird and gets awkward. Or maybe they're really chatty and they just want to talk to you forever, and you have other clients to deal with. So once you get loaded up, pack up, get off the property, go down the street, go around the block, go out a visual site, and then from there pull over to the side and do what you need to do. Google map your next gig so you know how to go make your phone calls if you need to make your phone calls. But then that way you're kind of done with that property and they don't have any questions or concerns, or they're not kind of running after you and like trying to talk to you for forever. But yeah, I think that is going to be wrapping it up for the topic section. One more time, just to go off real quickly with them. Enclosed environment with power, important. Confirm to your clients that you're going to be there within 48 hours. Confirm with your clients about the appointment. Bring backup film. Make sure to always bring backup film. Be clear and explain how long it's going to take for you to install the film. If you're doing multiple gigs, be wary of the time travel between gig 1 and gig 2, gig 3. That way you can give accurate arrival times. Checklist for tools, write that down. Make sure to build a checklist. Questionnaire for clients, and it could start off small, your questionnaire. It could be just the basic stuff, your make and model, all the little things. Like the little details, you'll start figuring out when you're on the phone with the client and you have a question, you don't have it on your questionnaire, just add it to your questionnaire. Super easy. Okay, always keep business cards on you, whether you're paying a whole bunch of money for business cards or you're paying $4 at Walmart for those printable 100 cards you can get. Either way, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you get business cards. The gate is always important to get the gate there and to get the information for the gate. And once you're done with the gig, make sure you leave. All right. So that is going to go ahead and wrap it up for the topic portion of today's live stream. Once again, if you guys are watching the rebroadcast, we do this every Sunday. I'm going to just start doing it every Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I live in Florida, so I'm on the East Coast, so Eastern Standard Time. If you're in California, it's going to be 3 o'clock for you. And if you're anywhere else, I don't know, kind of figure it out, because I'll be here Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock. That's when I'm going to be shooting to be on. So just keep an eye out for it every single Sunday. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure to subscribe. Again, this is Window Tinting Business, where we strive to inform, inspire, and improve you as a professional. And at 20 minutes, we are wrapping up with the topic. So I am done with that portion. Moving on to the Q&A. Okay, so let's go ahead and see here. Who do we have? Jay Wise back in the live stream. What is going on, man? Welcome, 1,000 welcomes. Let's see, Martin K, what's going on? There's some of these names I don't want to even try, just because I think I'm just gonna make it horrible. Okay, so let's see. Jay Wise asked the question: always having an issue with light gaps with quarter windows. How do you address them? Okay, so with quarter windows, especially if you're hand cutting, it's going to be a little bit difficult with quarter windows. Are even hard for me, especially, well, I plotter cut, so I mean it's all the same for me now, but even hand cutting, it makes it a little bit difficult. You can't just trace it. So what I would do, let's say I am on a back quarter window, So here's the pillar, here's the bottom of the window, and it curves. What I would do is I would cut this, the side next to the window and the bottom edge, and then what I would do is I would shift it down and shift it out. Just an eighth of an inch. Not a quarter of an inch, an eighth of an inch. Shift it just an eighth down and an eighth to the side. Then cut your top edge so that when you shift it all back, now you're at a 16th bigger all the way around. And that should help eliminate light gaps. Also, make sure that when you're prepping the quarter window, make sure that you're take your Platinum Easy Reach or some kind of tool and get between and loosen up the gasket, the rubbers between the rubber and the glass, and spray some water in there for some lubricant. This is very important, especially if you're doing like a Toyota Camry or other harder quarter windows. But if you're like doing like a Nissan Altima where there is no quarter window, I mean it is, but it's super easy and it's not connected to the door at all. Those are super easy. But like the Toyota Camrys, like I said, shift it down and shift it over after you cut your 90 degree. And then once you shift it, cut the top or the bend curve area, and you'll be able to go ahead and install with a 16th inch gap, a 16th of an inch all the way around. Hopefully that helps for you. Okay, another question. How to get rid of small bubbles from tint? Someone questioned on Facebook today. Okay, so I think I saw this. There was a question about little tiny bubbles in tint and how do you get rid of those. So for those of you guys that don't know, there were pictures of a car that was tinted a few days afterwards, and there was pictures taken with tiny little bubbles. Those aren't actually bubbles. What those are is tiny bits of dirt, dust, contamination within the film. So it's not an air bubble, it's the air that's surrounding it. So if here's the film and here's a piece of dust, like a piece of sand, barely small. So if that's that and here's the film, what's happening is it's laying down and the air that's around it is what you're seeing. You're not actually seeing an air bubble, it's dirt and contamination. So how to eliminate that? I would say to get a better cleaning process under your belt. If you need to clean it once, twice, 3, 4 times, clean it as many times as you need that it is squeaky, squeaky clean. Also, if you're in the back windows or even like squeegeeing the side windows, make sure watch your squeegee isn't scraping across. Like the very top of the window, make sure it's not scraping against the ceiling part, because usually it's made out of, I don't really know, it's like almost like not a rubber but like a styrofoam type material, and it'll flake off. So if you're hitting it with the squeegee, it'll flake down and go into the glass. So make sure that you're not rubbing up against that. Also with the top seal of the door. So if here's the glass and here's the frame, don't scrape your squeegee on the top part of the frame, because you might loosen up some contamination that goes into it. If you guys can hear, I got my little babies outside, right outside the door, so my oldest is like losing his marbles because he wants to come in here, but he's going to ask me a million questions while we're doing this, so I kind of want to make sure this is just us here. So if you can hear that, it is what it is. So let's see here. Okay, JY's asked, where can I get that Lumar hat? Okay, so this Lumar hat, I actually got at the International Window Film Conference in Tintoff just this past October. It was in West Palm Beach, Florida. Next year it's going to be in San Antonio. I'm 98% sure of that. So where did I get this? I got this at the Lumar booth, and I got it at the Lumar booth where they were doing like a shrinking contest. They were doing a shrink competition to see how fast. And actually, if you look at my videos in my playlist, there's going to be a video called "World's Fastest Shrink." And that is what I did essentially. I didn't get anywhere close to it, but I did get this hat for just attempting to shrink the windows. So you can probably find it online, but the long way around, fly to San Antonio in September next year and try to shrink the window, and then you'll get this hat. Long and short. All right, Jeff, had a client that wanted to hang around. How do you get them out of your way? Okay, so it's kind of difficult, especially if you're doing mobile gigs and people want to stick around. It's kind of hard to tell someone that's in their own garage to get out. But if it's something that bothers you, then sorry if you guys can hear that. That sounds like my baby is losing his marbles. So what do? If to be honest, it doesn't really bother me if someone's watching me. I've had people where I'm like squeegeeing the window and the client's literally on the other side of the glass, like looking at me. It's super awkward and super weird. But if it bothers you, just tell them. Just let them know if you don't mind. Maybe can you step? Usually they don't. If they want to stick around, just pay attention and try not to let it bother you, because if you try to kick someone out of their own garage, I don't know if that's gonna fly very well. So, and if you say something like, "I need to focus and I can't really focus with you," I don't know if they could take that as you're unprofessional or you need a super focus and maybe you're just new at this and you need to really focus. I don't know. So that's kind of a coin toss. You can ask them to leave if you really feel comfortable with it, or just kind of try to block them out and try to not see through them. Focus on your work. I think that's the best tips I can give for you on that one. Uh, okay, Martin K says he cleans the top seals with pressured air at the beginning. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It definitely get some dirt loose and get some sand and whatever that might be in there. Oh my Lana, hold on one second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Sounded like my baby was losing his marbles, so I wanted to make sure everything was okay there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, clean the top seals with pressured air at the beginning. Yep, that's always good. Make sure to loosen everything up and make sure to give it a good wipe down. And I think that's going to be the best solution for any dirt and anything that might be stuck up there. And let's see here. I'm going to stay on for just a little bit longer. Looks like we're about 26 minutes or so. Looks like we still got a couple of people, about 7 people online. So thanks again for joining us, guys. I'm going to give it a couple more. If you guys had any more questions, concerns, shout outs, go ahead and list them off, and then we'll go from there. Oh, sounds like my baby's losing his marbles. For those of y'all that have kids, I'm sure you are aware and understand that it gets crazy. Slider windows on an older C10 truck. Did you mean S10, like a Chevy S10, Jay Wise? I think you mean S10. Or any slider windows. Yes, that's what he meant, an S10. Cool. All right, so not even just an S10, but any slider window, how do you cut... I'm assuming you're asking how you cut the notch, because the glass is straight up and down. It's super easy. You can't mess that up. It's just cut straight down. But how do you cut around the notch? So let's just say, here's the notch. I hope you guys can see that. It's kind of being flooded out. Let me see if I have something. Here we go. So let's say this plug is the notch, right? What you want to do, and you have the film here, right? So what you want to do is you want to cut the inside part of the notch. So let's say this is the notch, and here's the end piece of the glass. So the glass slides like this, right? And here's the other piece. So this is easy. You put it here, and now here's the notch. You got to cut around the notch, right? So what you want to do is you want to take your knife and slit just this side first, right? Don't go all the way to the corner. Just cut in the middle, okay? Now from there, lift the film up and slice this film right here. So take a slice down this way. Now, when you put the film back down and you cut around the notch, the film is going to lay with the knife, and you'll do that for both sides. And once you do that, then it'll wrap around the film. And maybe I should put a video together for that. It's kind of easier to, it doesn't really make sense, I guess, if I'm saying it. But if I show you, it's a lot better. Again, if here's the notch, you want to take a slit right here, slit down the film this way, and then bring your Olfa knife back to where the slit was at top, and then just wrap around that notch, and it'll wrap around easy. And you can do that for anything, for rearview mirror brackets that are stuck on the glass you can't move. Someone wanted me to cut around a sticker for some reason, and I still did that. So that tip does help all around. It's my daughter's 18, we all know, Martin K. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the Hamadic 001. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. It says tips on a VW Golf back defrost glass. Yeah, I'll give you some tips. If you're working on a GTI Golf, then the '07 and '08 version are the hardest. The hardest. If you're working with a plotter, do not work with a plotter. You gotta use a raw piece of material and keep it long on both ends so you can pull. Use the pull method. But those windows are pretty much one of the hardest windows to tint because they got a crazy curve to it. I remember doing one recently and I still couldn't get it done. There are some cars that I cannot do. I'm not a perfect installer. I'm near perfect. My work is really good, but I cannot. I mean, there are some cars that I can't do. There was a Volvo once. I couldn't do a front windshield on that. For some reason, it wasn't working. The pull method wasn't working. The bug that got me, not the bug, the Golf that got me was an '07. So the '07, '08 are nearly impossible, but you can get it done with enough patience and enough material because you're going to go through a lot of material if you've never done it. I believe '09 to 14 or 13 was the second generation model. That one's a little bit easier, and then the models from 14 and on, they're a lot easier. They're like butter. But that '07, '08 is murder. Like, it is brutal. So just be prepared for it and be patient. And if you can't do it, you know, maybe even charge them a discount or charge them for 2/3. If you did the front two doors or if you did the both sides but you can't do the back, maybe charge them 2/3 and say sorry, or don't charge them at all. I don't know. But if you come across that point, sometimes you just gotta chalk it up as a loss. That's what I say. That does happen from time to time, even to me, even still. Okay, new GMC truck door panels. How do you get them off to bottom load? Okay, new GMC, old GMC. They're basically the same thing as Chevy Silverado. And to answer your question, you don't take them off. Bottom line, bottom end of story. The reason why is because you can pull the seals out of Silverado or the GMC trucks. They're basically the same truck. You can pull the seals out, which is not a problem, but putting them back in is a huge pain in the rear. Because the locking mechanism gets in the way and you have to like unlatch the locking mechanism and pull it. It's a huge pain in the butt. It's easier to just top load. I mean, it's a truck window, so it's pretty sizable up and down. So you're not gonna. It's not like a Lexus IS 250 where you have literally like this much space in the front end. I mean, the front end is like this long, so you have more than enough space to top load. If you really want to bottom load, you can take off the doors. I had a Chevy Silverado and I removed the panels. And I had nothing but problems afterwards. I literally, like, the locking mechanisms wouldn't go back to the way they were. There was at one point where I would close the door, the locking mechanism wouldn't work, and the door pull itself wouldn't work. I was literally trapped in the car. I had to turn the car on, roll the windows down, get my toolbox, and release the panel from the inside, which was difficult enough. So in my opinion, don't do it. Don't do it at all because it's going to be a bigger pain than what it is. Let's see here. All right. Gonna give him. We're still at 33 minutes. We still got a little bit of time. I think a lot of people got messed up. I think a lot of people were in here. If you guys didn't hear the beginning of the chat, this is the fourth time I tried this live stream today. If you guys saw the notifications on YouTube and whatnot, I scheduled this ahead of time today, and I used my iPhone 6 Plus. I just used this phone just for YouTube stuff. I don't even use it for like my personal phone or anything. I have another phone for that. But I think because I had it scheduled in, and then I just used the phone. I think it was doing too much, and it got it confused. So I'm not even gonna do that anymore. 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's gonna be the ballpark. But for sure, just to double check, go to our Facebook group because I always put updates on there at Window Tinting Business. Just search that in the groups, and you'll find us. And I always have updates there. So. Yes, Martin K., you are correct. The Golf needs time and training. Time and training is correct. I mean, you dry shrink, you wet shrink, you pull method, you do everything. I mean, every trick in the book needs to be done for the '07, '08 model. And don't be confused because Some people will say, "Oh yeah, those are easy. Those are easy." Well, they might be talking about a 16 model. Yeah, that's you could do that with your eyes closed. The 07, 08, unless you've done it by yourself, I guarantee you, the first time you do it, you're gonna run through at least a half dozen patterns, a half dozen tries to a dozen tries, and you still won't even get close. I can promise you that. It's not easy. Not easy. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, the Golf is the car in Germany. Martin K says he's from Germany. He says the Golf is the car here in Germany. Hopefully they're buying new brand new Golfs. They're not buying old Golfs. And if hopefully the '07 and '08 Golf can just go away, Martin. I would be very happy with that if it just went away. Okay. Audi A4 problem with gasket left right with plot cut. Let's see here. Audi A4 problem with gasket left right with plot cut. Left right with plot cut. What does that mean? The Audi. If you have the question about the Audi A4, rephrase the question because I don't know exactly what you're. Left tail gasket. Let's see here. Audi A4. Actually, I have a video on how to pull the panels on an Audi A4. Look at my panel pulling videos, and that one shows you how to pull the panels on an Audi. And if you can pull the panels and pop the seal out, so much better. Audis and Passats and the Jettas, they got super tight seals. So you either got to cut them super thin, and most of the time you won't get there's a difference between the film getting no light gap on the inside and actually getting to the edge of the pillar and covering it. So you can be no gapping, but you can still see the film before it gets behind the pillar. So I always like my film being like that. And if you do that, it makes it a lot more difficult when you're top loading because the film is so tight and the seals are so tight. I mean, so it's easier just to pull the doors. And I should do a full video on it, but the Jetta is super easy. There's like 3 pins, 3 locks, one underneath the trim of the door, the silver trim. Just pull that off, and then there's another one underneath the handle, and then there's a panel that you pull off, and then you just take those 3 out and pop them out. So much easier. So much easier. Tips for a 2002 Corvette back window. Yeah, the super curvy ones. Those are actually one of the hardest ones. I know people say bugs. I think the top 3 hardest cars to do is a bug, or a Beetle, excuse me, the Golf, and then the old school Corvettes with the massive curve on it. Usually, the problem with that is that the film. So let's say you have a piece of film that's this big, right? So film can only shrink up and down. The problem is that the Corvette back window goes like this. That's the pattern, right? So you can't shrink, if you have fingers this way, you can't shrink, even though it's up and down on the glass, you can't shrink film this way. That's why it binds. So what some people will do is that they'll cut tabs all the way around the edge, so they have a tab to pull and pull and pull. But there are some great videos, and I haven't had a Corvette like that come in a long time, so I haven't been able to do a video about it. But Matt over at Tint Stuff, he has a good video of it, and you can find a lot of videos online. Tinting Corvette back window. Just Google that or YouTube it. It'll pop right up, I promise you. Promise you. Robert, you weren't able to do it. Don't beat yourself up for it that you couldn't be able to do it. It's a very, very difficult window. Typically, it's a kind of a window that if you get that car, you try to get it all day because the first time you do it, it's just basically practice over and over and over and over and over again until you get it right. And there's going to be a point where you're just going to need to take a break. So if you have it all day, it's perfect for training. But that's why when it does come up, make sure that you know exactly how long it's going to take you, how much film you're going to do, and just charge accordingly. If you got to double the cost or triple it, I never tell people no, but what I tell people is I give them an outrageous price so that they say no. So I never tell people no, they say no to it. Like R&Rs, I hate removing old film. Some people love it, some people think it's easy money, and it is easy money. But what really burns me is that you'll charge like $100 to remove film, and maybe it's like $150, $250 to tint the car. The problem is every now and then you're gonna get that one car that's literally gonna take you 6 or 7 hours, and you work for 6 or 7 hours for that $100. And it's burned me before in the past. So what I'll do is that whatever tint that they want to get, I'll triple the price of it, and I'll tell them that that's how much it is. Because in the offset that it is gonna take a long time for me, at least I'm gonna be compensated for my time. Let's see here. Robert, yes, triple charge them, because most of the time they're going to say no, and if they say yes, then at that point it's worth it, because you know you're going to get paid and compensated for it. Getting a little dry here. Let me know how the audio is. Like I said, I know that there's a slight echo. If you guys have headphones in, you might hear a slight echo just because this room isn't treated. Plus, let me know if I feel like I'm bleached out, because I got these two lights here, but they're like really bright. Like I'm like blinded. So let's see. Removing on back window. I hate it. Yes. If you don't use, if you're removing tint on a back window, check out my video on removing old tint with the trash bag technique. I think it was like one of my first like dozen videos, and it was a hit. It just like reached like, I mean, a hit to me. It just reached like 100,000 views or something like that. It gets a lot of views. I think like 30,000 views a month or something like that. But it's a really popular video. Check it out. It'll help you out a lot. Use the steamer. A steamer definitely helps as well. But too much light. Yeah, sorry, Jeff. Yeah, I feel like it is. Let me see if I can just turn one off. Maybe I have two lights going. See, but now I have this weird shadow. You see that? It's like a weird, I don't know. What I need to put is I need to put dimmers on these, so I am bleached out. Or maybe back up so like I look like I actually have color on me, because I feel like I'm bleached out right here. I think I am. Sorry, I'm a window tinter. I don't do audio and visual and all that stuff. I'm learning, but I guess yeah, it is what it is. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today. I just gotta really, I was just a little annoyed from earlier today, just because trying to do these 4 different times I tried to do this live stream, and I just had to shut down. I know it's super frustrating. So those of you guys who waited and stuck around with me, I do appreciate it. Looks like I've got a couple more here. What do you think you move on? Let's see, Justin. Okay, we got one last question from Justin D. I'm guessing it's Jesus. It's not Jesus. It may be Jesus. Who knows? Let's see. What do you do when you're doing mobile and the customer has no garage? Do you use a tent? All right. So that's the question. Do you use a tent if they don't have a garage? Remember the tips and tricks that I was telling you about for mobile? Confirm that they have an enclosed garage. If they don't have a garage, you might have to pass on it, because it really is, unless you have nothing going on and you feel confident that you can tint outside in the wind and the elements, it's difficult to tint outside. A tent, you can get a tent, one of those like 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 tents, but I've heard like horror stories of like the wind picking it up and throwing it, and actually like the legs like scratching up against the door and destroying them. So you need to like put like sandbags around it. It takes a lot of time to set that up, and you have to have walls on those tents. If you're charging like a high premium, or you don't have a lot going on that day, and you're like, okay, I have an extra time to set up a tent and do that, that's what I would suggest. But if you're just starting out new, I would not suggest to tint outside, because it is brutal. Right. In business the last 3 months. Yes, good. I'm glad you all. Yeah, if you guys are just getting started, I started from nothing. I started from from knowing zero knowledge about anything. That's the one reason why I started this YouTube channel, because when I was trying to find ways or outlets to get into the industry, there's very little resources out there. And if you talk to any shop owner and tell them, hey, I want to learn how to tint, can you teach me? They'll want to charge you an arm and a leg or let you work at a shop as an apprentice for 2 or 3 years, paying you like $10 an hour or something like that. So that's why I started this channel. I hope it was helpful. I hope you guys are learning stuff. I hope you guys are making money. I mean, that's the real name of the game, honestly. But yeah, I think I'm gonna shut her down for today. Next week I might actually go on Saturday instead of Sunday, but double check on the Facebook group. Again, Window Tinting Business. Double check there because I'll put an update on there because it's my anniversary and the old lady's birthday all on the same day. So I might be tied up and we might be going out and celebrating and whatnot. So that's going to be the only change for next week. But those of y'all who stuck with me, thanks again. I appreciate it. And just stay tuned and we will be back shortly. Thanks again, guys.